So good evening. Sorry for that. We're trying to sort the speaker, but we are now good. Welcome to Conversations with Esther this evening. Our topic is an amazing topic that I love, close to my heart, self-care. And I'm one ambassador of mental wellness, wellness in the workplace, self-care being one of them. So we would straight on go to our speaker, but before we can do that, let me nominate Sandra. I see Sandra. Sandra, you can pray for us, kindly.
Hi, sorry, niko nje, but let's pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before you this evening. We want to give you thanks, glory, and honor for even allowing us to be here this evening, and even for the conversation that we're going to have. For the people who are not yet home or are outside due to various reasons, I pray that, Lord, you may grant them journey mercies to their home. And even as we continue with the conversation, we invite you to be in our midst and just guide the conversation in the way that is according to your will. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for that. For those that did not manage to attend the Wanadada to Funguka, and I know we have men in the room, today it's open for all. Self-care is not just for women. Self-care is for all. Thank you, Paul. I see you right there. I see a Charles here. So we are mixed. So today is self-care for everybody. It's not just for women. As we speak, let me just admit, karibu sana June Mwathi. So I will allow Gadoni. Gadoni is has been a part of Conversations with Esther. Gadoni is from Chiromo, a professional clinical psychologist, and she's really walked this journey with most of us, walked this journey with Conversations with Esther. I think most of the people that have been on our platform by now know Gadoni. Thank you, Faith Titus, for joining us. Faith is also from Chiromo. Chiromo has been a great partner for Conversations with Esther as we drive this conversation on mental wellness. We have come to appreciate, and I believe as a country and as a nation, if there's a time that we need this conversation, it's now. It's needed now more than ever. On mental wellness, on self-care, just taking care of yourself. And I keep saying that the workplace really needs to be a safe space for everybody. I mean, the outside, as Sandra has prayed, is a bit tensed. So you can imagine if you do not take care of yourself, then it's really going to get tough on you. But thank you. Gadoni, over to you. Today is your day. We'll give you the time to speak to us and educate us on self-care. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Esther. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me, first of all, to just apologize. Unfortunately, I'm having a technical error, but Esther will be helping me on the other side to project my slides. And yeah, that's why my video is not on. But I'm really, really excited about today's conversation because self-care is really a focal point of mental health. Self-care is a focal point of our overall well-being. It's the fuel that we actually need for the day-to-day. So I am a practicing clinical psychologist with almost 10 years of experience now. I work for Chiromo Hospital Group, and I do appreciate the partnership we have with Conversations with Esther. I'm the head of digital at Chiromo. I work in another hospital as well on Kiamu Road at AR Hospital, where I'm the clinical psychologist in charge. And I like to say the best part of my practice is not just being able to treat patients, but also to look at wellness holistically, to be able to engage in the prevention and promotion of mental health care overall. So we are talking about self-care today. We say that this is the ability for individuals, families, communities to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and cope with illnesses and disability with or without the support of a healthcare provider. That's the WHO definition of what self-care is. If you don't know about Chiromo, you can see it on your slides. Um, so I've just dived into what self-care is. Please go to the next slide. I'll guide you the next one. Yes. So in my years of practice, we have this definition, and by all means, you can engage with this definition. But I like to say that self-care is an intentionality that we have with ourselves when we get to a point where we realize as individuals we are worth it. And this is quite important for me to say because I look at the environment around me and how much we pour into the people around us. So be it your children, be it your partner, be it the job that you're doing, be it the friends that you have around you. We show up for all those people 100%. If you go to work, you're your best self. When you're trying to address your children, when you're addressing your partner, you're mindful of what you say, you're mindful of how you behave. Yeah. So you're mindful around these different institutions and these different individuals. But when it comes to ourselves, then somehow we kind of end up neglecting ourselves. So the reason why we are mindful of what we wear, how we talk, how we present in the workplace, it's because to you, that has registered that, you know what, this is an important environment for me. This is what puts food on my table. Okay. And therefore, you will give it your best. You will try and give your children the best. You'll try and give all the other different things that you do your best because it is worth it to you. Even those friendships, it is worth it to you. So then, unless we put that same level of worth where we are concerned as a priority, then we cannot be intentional about what we do unless we do that. That's why I say you must get to a point where you're looking at yourself as a whole different entity. You're looking at yourself as something or somebody that is worth of nurturing, worth of love. And that starts all the way from your thought process. What kind of thoughts are going through your mind? What are you telling yourself? It starts with the kind of grace you're extending yourself, the self-compassion. It starts by looking at the perception that you have of yourself with that intentionality. Then now we come to a space where we look at how then do we take care of ourselves and why is this important. So as we go to the next slide, we see that the WHO reports that currently 3.6 billion people, half of the world, lack access to essential health services. And it recommends self-care interventions for every country and economic setting as a critical path to reach universal health coverage, promote health, and keep the world safe and serve the vulnerable. So self-care interventions also promote individuals' active participation in their own health care and are a push towards greater self-determination, self-efficacy, autonomy, and engagement in health. So we don't have, a lot of people don't have that access or equal access to essential health services. And that's why self-care comes in, because this is from a space of prevention and promotion. And these are routines, these are activities, these are behaviors that can be applied even without the help of a healthcare provider. So even before we get to a point of why is it that you need to access essential health services, what is it that we can do from our own capacity that would protect us in a space where we are able to promote our own health, our own well-being, and therefore not needing to even get to that point of accessing health services. So there are different types of self-care. I don't know if you guys know that. And there are usually actually 8 types. So in layman language, when we are having conversations around each other, around our circles, you can go to the next slide. The next one after that. Yes, there. We think, or a lot of people who look at self care or talk about self care, I hear a lot of people saying, I slept in this weekend, so nimefanya self care hii week, or I went and did my nails, or I went and got a haircut. I've done self care. I'm not saying that's not self care, but in today's conversation, I really want to emphasize that when we are talking about wellness, when we are talking about self care, we are looking at in us as individuals holistically. You are not made up of just one part. And because we focus a lot on that, that's why when one thing is not going well, when one thing is not working, we feel like we have crashed as a whole. So there are different types of self care. As you can see, please go to the next slide. We actually have 8 different types of self care: physical, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your intellectual, your environment, your social, and your financial. So let's have a look at each one of them individually. And this would be a good time to take your pen and paper as we go through these individual types of self-care, and then we go to looking at why is this important. Next slide, please. So let's start with the physical self-care. This is actually one of the easiest to be able to engage in. So we look at physical self-care involving the body itself, the physical part of it. So we are talking about physical activity. For some people, that looks like hardcore exercise, the gym, but physical activity involves even walking, just going for that mindful walk. And please note, because sometimes when I have conversations with clients, I hear somebody say, me, my job involves a lot of activity. I'm always walking up and down. No, that is not the same. Okay, so your job could involve that, but the kind of activity we are talking about a mindful activity where you are engaging your mind and your body. So if you're going to take that walk, let it be a mindful walk. Schedule time for it. Will I do it in the morning? Will I do it in the evening? How many times? Will I do it 3 times in a week? Will I do it on weekends only, 5 times in a week? What exactly it is? And it's important that you choose an activity that you enjoy as well. So you can walk, you can swim, you can go to the gym, you can do your Zumba, yeah, in front of the TV. You can engage in those sessions that take part on YouTube as well, that are specifically curated, like either it's a hit or it's targeting a specific place. So just do whatever it takes to move your body. Now, exercise is one of the most vital things that you can do where um, performing performance for your brain is concerned. It is the only natural way to ensure that the brain is performing optimally. We are talking about triggering the release of endorphins, dopamine that helps you to feel good, lowering the cortisol that is released when you're stressed, increasing serotonin, which is what helps you to be able to sleep well. And remember, the brain is the engine, so it needs to be able to function well. Okay, so that's a very important and core thing. In fact, if you don't do anything else, then at least make sure you just have a physical activity in your self-care routine. So sleep is another very, very vital one, as well as what you eat. We say the gut is a second brain. So what we eat is very, very important. And if you're writing, just go and read about our brain food. There's a brain diet, a Mediterranean kind of like diet that is the most highly advised, where ensuring that optimal brain performance is concerned. So it just contains of white meats and mostly vegetables, but you must be able to eat. Okay, so why is that important? The brain also needs some level of glucose to be able to perform. So if you don't eat, and sometimes you'll hear even our friends or people around us saying, I didn't eat dinner, I didn't eat breakfast, and I'm not hungry. You'll kind of hear that. Or even if you're telling yourself that. And I like to say confidently, it's not a badge of honor. It actually tells you that your brain is not doing what it's supposed to do, sending that message. You're supposed to eat. And if you don't eat, it will trigger the release of insulin, because the brain is trying to help you. You're not doing well, you're weak. And too much of that, then people begin to develop type 2 diabetes um, later in life. So sleep is very, very important. It's one of the top five, in the top five clinical red flags. Sleep is at the top of the list. Actually, they've added another vital. And allow me just to tell you this. There are six vitals that we usually look at to look at your overall well-being. At the top of the list, we have sleep. Is it trouble initiating sleep? So you enter bed, you turn and toss, you sleep at midnight, or are you able to sleep immediately, but then you wake up at 2 a.m. and you don't sleep until like 5 a.m.? Or are you asleep and your brain is awake? You can hear things that are going round around you, or you're sleeping too much. Yeah. So what is your normalcy? And then see if you're veering off from it. So we have sleep, we have eating patterns. I've talked about eating. However, there are some people who also overeat on the other side of the coin. We have bowel movements. So if you have passed maybe 3 days and you've not passed stool, or you have loose stool that is not necessarily associated with anything you ate or medication, that's also a cause for concern. Something is not right. And then we have mood. Mood is the only black and white one. So if you find somebody is irritable, very easily irritable, they are moody, and I like to jokingly say, although this is not a joke, that if you want to know how bad we are doing, as a country, just go to town, Jioni. You'll hear the number of hoots, beep, beep, beep. So people are just constantly living on the edge, very, very irritable. So check on your moods. Or it could also be low or easily triggered, burst into tears, look into that. And then the fifth one, we have libido. So usually when your brain is really, really overwhelmed, your libido goes down. Yeah. There's a small category of people who the libido will go up, hypersexuality, and then also deep. And the sixth added vital sign for women is your monthly periods. So if there is a serious irregularity, I'm from Kiambu anyway, if they're very irregular, then that's also a cause for concern. And if you go to hospital as a woman, you'll always be asked, are you getting your monthly period? Yeah, or how long, when is the last time? So that's what usually they're trying to figure out. They're trying to see how is your body doing in general. Okay. So emotional self-care. So in this category of self-care, we are looking at our emotions. Are you aware of the kind of emotions that you have? Okay. Connecting with and understanding your emotions, developing self awareness about your emotions and feelings. And some of the ways that you can do that is meditation, different stress management, um, engaging in healthy coping skills and journaling. And I think their keyword is healthy, okay? Because there are a lot of ways that we can manipulate our emotions. Usually, sometimes you'll find that people will go into things like drinking or smoking, which are negative coping mechanisms, because you're just trying to manipulate your emotions. Maybe you're feeling too low and you don't know what else to do apart from this substance that will help you. And even if it might seem to work, in small doses, and that's why people really get addicted to those routines, it's very, very counterproductive. So I usually caution whatever coping skill you're using, is it contributing to your overall well-being? Is it contributing to making you better? Yeah. But other than that, what is it that you can do when you feel that your emotions are completely um, disrupted to help you feel better about yourself? Yeah. So you'll find that some people need to watch something. That's okay. Some people need to read something. That's okay. At the end of the day, what is it? What works for you? Okay. We are human beings, and therefore we have emotions, and emotions always communicate to us about how we feel internally. So pay so much attention to that. Social self-care. Social self-care, we are looking about, we are talking about how do we relate to other people, how are our relationships. And remember, we learn how to build relationships. Our perception of relationships as adulthood largely depends on how we grew up. Yeah, I think, Esther, we should come back and have a conversation about adverse childhood experiences and the impact it has on relationships at work and amongst people. Another conversation for another day. But our relationships usually largely depend on that. So if you are secure, if you are avoidant, depending on which attachment styles that you did develop, then sometimes some of those styles can be manifested in adulthood, making it more difficult for somebody to engage in social self-care. So that's why you'll find it's harder for people to have healthy boundaries. They are more permissive, or they are more of people pleasing. You'll find that sometimes it's harder for people to form relationships that are lasting. Okay. Maybe they are avoidant, because you have to be very intentional about building a circle around you, what we call a social capital, a circle that can move with you as you grow, a circle that supports the best version of you and can allow you to grow without feeling threatened, a circle that can celebrate you, can push you forward, the circle that will give you opportunities, you know. So social self-care is very important. But remember, you can't form healthy relationships if you also don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, if you don't have boundaries with you as an individual. So it just reminds us that you can't give what you don't have. So it has to begin with you first, you as an individual. um, and for social self-care, because I know we might have people who are parents here, it's not really social self-care if you go and spend time with your children. That's their social self-care. You're helping them in their social self-care. You as a parent, you uko job, you're there working, you're there wondering, the weather has changed. My child has gone to the loo, they've not come back. So your mind is just busy. So other than your kids, other than the family that you have at work, look for other people who you can talk to, who you can bond with, and will help you feel replenished, will help you feel filled. So you're not the one giving. And then we do have spiritual self care. And basically, this encompasses activities that you engage in to connect with and nurture your soul. Because of what has happened in this country, anytime somebody mentions spirituality, a lot of people, they jump into religion. Okay, I know as Kenyans and as Africans, it's such a thin line, and I want to respect that. But spirituality, we are talking about having a connection with a higher power, a belief system in that higher power. When we are talking about hope, installation of hope, we are talking about a higher power. And even us as practitioners, we know, even when we are working with our clients, when we are working with our patients, we also know, even with all the knowledge, all the 10 years of experience, we are still limited. Our wisdom is still limited to a point, and at that point, you engage in a higher power. When we are talking about addiction, when you look at the treatment for addiction, it actually talks about a spiritual awakening. Yeah. And to me, that's usually so mind blowing, because when it says change can only happen when a spiritual awakening happens, it also means that scientists recognize that this this thing is intangible. This click, it's not maths, or it's not science. It's something that is innate. It's something that is bigger and beyond. So when it comes to activities, for some people, maybe if you're Christians, then prayer works, then fasting works, then going to church and all the rituals in that end works for you. And that's okay, by all means. Okay. For some people, they will want to do meditation or even quiet time. Do what it is that works for you. Because studies have shown people who have a spiritual anchorage have better quality of life. If you have a relationship with God, if you have a relationship with a higher power, you actually have better quality of life, because hope is only harnessed in spirituality. Faith is only harnessed in spirituality. And sometimes that is just a small difference between the person who's decided, I've had enough, I'm tired of this, and I want to end my life, and another person who will wake up and say, tomorrow will be a better day. The difference is just hope and faith that things are going to work out, things are going to be better. So you need to replenish that part of your life. You need to replenish the spiritual part of life. And spirituality actually has been incorporated in the treatment model. So we say today it's biopsychosocial spiritual. Is it biological? Meaning it's a chemical imbalance, this patient needs medication. Is it psychosocial issues? Maybe it's heartbreak or grief or stagnation. Yeah, that's whole class of psychosocial issues, but also spiritual. Allow me to give you just a brief story of my practice. Many, many years ago, when I was a young counseling psychologist, I was working in a rehab, and I met a guy who was there obviously because of alcohol, but everything had really gone down for him. Bright person, good schools, good university, good job, married, 2 children. He was at the top part of his career. And I remember meeting him when I was at Catholic University those days. So it was so sad to actually see him in a rehab, and I was really wondering what happened to this guy. So he really used to disturb me so much because he wants to call home, he wants to call his parents, he wants to leave, he doesn't want this place, and we just used to think, ni msumbufu, he's just a spoiled rich child, we used to say that casually. So there was this old psychologist, his name was Geoffrey Gishohi, I'll never forget. He said, we need to ask this person, what does he really want? Because, things have gone so badly for him and he doesn't seem to want to change. So he said he wants a priest. He was Catholic. So we thought, okay, maybe this person is malingering. Maybe they know the priest. Maybe they want to be sneaked in something. So that was my thought process. But then Godfrey was like, Apana, if this person says that what they want is a priest because they want to confess, we need to do that for him. So that was my first interaction with the role that spirituality plays in mental health. Is it me? Sorry, or maybe it was somebody talking.
Yeah, just continue the other way.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. So we had to get a priest and he wanted to confess. So in their relationship, unfortunately, and allow me to say this in confidence, but they had lost not lost a child, but had made a decision to get an abortion, the two of them, a real conscious decision that they had made together. But after that, everything went downhill. And they used to feel that I think my life is like this because we committed a sin against God. And all they wanted was, to confess. Because he believed that if he confesses the right way, then he can be forgiven. And from then on, if he's forgiven, his life will be better. And imagine that's what we did. And everything changed, believe it or not. So matters about spirituality and having a belief system, I think it's a big consideration where we are concerned as human beings in terms of enriching ourselves and being right with ourselves internally. Okay. So intellectual self-care. And when you're looking at intellectual self-care, professional also falls in that realm. Okay. So these are activities and actions that support feeling balanced and fulfilled in one's career. Okay, attending to your needs. Please, ladies and gentlemen, one of the best ways to contribute to you feeling good about yourself is constantly adding and advancing your skills. Don't be that person who, since you cleared your first degree and you got that job, na ukafika. No, keep figuring out what else do I need to do. Today we are talking about being in a digital space. Bother yourself to figure out, okay, how does this digital space work? How does social media work? Because the world is actually going tech. The world is going where technology is concerned. Okay, so things are changing. There is a shift, and every single day we have new and fresh people coming out of school. We have curriculums that are constantly changing, and we need to change with the change. So part of your confidence, part of you feeling good, part of you feeling well deserved, part of your future opportunities also are fully dependent on how you're able to grow yourself in terms of skills, in terms of your reading, in terms of exposure as well. Okay. And also in the workplace, for those of you who are employed, I know Esther is very, very huge about workplace mental wellness, as we are, as well as Chiromo Hospital Group. So ensuring that your overall well-being is observed in the workplace is very, very important. Remember, you spend a third of your time. Yeah, theoretically, but technically, you spend a lot more of that within the work environment. So time management, healthy work boundaries are very, very important. And if I can take you back a little bit to the definition of mental health, Yeah, we say it's the overall well-being of an individual, whereby that person is able to realize their potential, cope with daily life stressors. And the third thing is usually be fruitful and productive. That fruitful and productivity comes here at work. And the last part says make a positive contribution within the community. So you can see how important intellectual self-care, professional self-care is. Financial self-care, this is a really big one. This is a big one because specifically today, I know what is happening in this country is largely to do with the economic state, above everything else. Yeah. Of all the top three stressors that trigger the three highest stressors, financial is usually at the top of the list, followed by relationships, then workplace. So finances, how then do you how do you engage in financial self-care? Yeah, have little goals, have a good relationship with money management, balance, budgeting, some savings. How do you pay bills? Remember, when an individual is negotiating the hierarchy of needs, there is usually that security part. So financial self-care is very important. And I know this is very dynamic. I know it's very difficult for a lot of people, because I do have to recognize that almost half of the people in this country live below the poverty line. But if you can, this is something that you really need to put into consideration. Just save however little you have, because as long as you know there is something little that uko nayo, it's going to help you feel so much more better than if you have zero, completely zero. So if you've been given an opportunity to actually earn some money, save a dot of that, save a little bit of that, and slowly build. Your environment is very important. If you're here and you have children and those kids are teenagers, one of the best ways to know their state of mind is just to go into their rooms, or even adults. If you go to somebody's bedroom, you can be able to know the state of their mind. You can be able to know if they're feeling on top of themselves or just who are, if you go to somebody's kitchen, if you go to somebody's home, if you look at their desktop around them. Yeah. So our environment is actually key, because a clean and healthy environment actually promotes our well-being. So have time to also look around you. Be it your car, how is it? Is it clean? How do you feel about it? Or your desk or your home, just in your small spaces. Your environment um, really, really matters. What you're wearing, as well. Okay, where you're seated. Look at the environment around you, because the worse the area that is surrounding you, then the worse also your mental health is going to be, because you will end up just feeling exactly how that um, space is. Think about entering a building or a well polished hotel, and looking at spotless floors and beddings and everything. It already puts a smile on your face. It's a nice clean environment. So take time to do that for yourself. Take time to do that to the things around you. Declutter. Please make sure this weekend, enter that room, declutter things that you're not wearing, things that, as in, if you have those two boxes that are under the bed or on top of the closet, uko juu, that you've just filled them with a lot of things. Declutter. Okay. So the next one is mental self-care. So mental self-care involves your psychological and cognitive thinking, and your mind's ability to understand and process information and experience. Okay. So we are what we absorb. So what is it that you are engaging in? Yeah. Remember how bad our mental health was when we used to wake up every day and find dozens of people have died. Every time you turned on the social media, any news station, any paper that you picked, you're just finding thousands of people died, thousands of people. Think about how scary that was. Okay. So what we actually end up absorbing gets etched in our mind. Okay. So we say mental self care involves your psychological and cognitive thinking and your mind's ability to understand and process information and experiences. So your thoughts, but also largely what you consume. That is key. That is very, very important. If it's not adding to your well being, then don't consume it, or consume it in small doses. Okay. So sometimes you can go to social media and scroll, but just limit it. If possible, have a social media detox. Okay. Because I know most of you, we are, in that group there. Yeah. For Tufunguke. Let's just challenge ourselves. See, can you do a 24-hour or a 48-hour without engaging in any form of social media? Okay. Take that time to go out, do stuff, get in touch with nature. Let's go to the next slide, please, on which is me winding down, and then I open this to questions. So please feel free to ask questions, write them in the chat box. But if you can put on your mic and ask a question, we are going to do this. Okay. So let's read that first caption there that says, if you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. Yeah, just take a moment to absorb that. If you don't make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. Imagine. So, prevention, promotion. Let's not get too battery empty for us to remember, okay, I need charging. Let's not get to that point. So why self-care? Why is it important? One, it helps to prevent burnout. Go to the next slide. Burnout. Engaging in self-care activities help prevent burnout by providing a sense of balance, reducing stress levels, promoting overall well-being. Preventing burnout leads to improved mental and physical health. The International Classification of Disease, latest version 11, has classified burnout as an illness. As a psychologist who is working in a physical hospital today as we speak, I can tell you that we have so many people who come admitted because of an unknown illness, burnout. Yani, umefanywa all the tests and everything is negative. All the tests have been done. Nothing. Your blood works, your organs, kila kitu, all negative. Usually the next thing is go and see Gavon. Okay. So burnout is a real thing. Yeah. The same way we get so anxious. Somebody is like, ukona charger, ulibeba power bank. My phone is about to go off. Yeah. You're on alert. Do the same thing. The same way, even in your home, you've restocked it with candles, matches, you have a lamp. For those who have a lamp, in case lights go out, you have a backup plan. Do the same for yourself. Okay, do the same for yourself. It is also important because it also helps us to establish healthy boundaries. Okay, so if you have a good relationship with yourself, then you're also able to to establish boundaries. If you're able to be disciplined with yourself, then it's also easier for you to do that towards other people. So, ability to establish healthy boundaries ensures professional conduct at work, reduces workplace friction, and improves staff relationship. So self-care is very important because it brings about healthy boundaries. It's also important because of stress reduction. The more you work on yourself, the more you engage yourself um, in physical activity, taking care of your mental state, taking care of your emotions, taking care of your thoughts, replenishing your spirituality. That actually helps in stress reduction, the activities that you're taking place on. Self-care is the only way, let me say only in capital, only way for you to build your emotional resilience. Imagine, resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity. Have you ever wondered? Have you ever wondered why? Yani, some people get character development, unalia siku moja, unaoga unarudi soko. Have you ever wondered how some people can have a job threat that this will be the end of it, and they immediately start restructuring their mind? You know what? It's okay. Hii job hata si ya baba yangu. If this doesn't work, I'll get another one. They are able to do that. However, some people find it exceptionally, extremely difficult to bounce back. The difference is your resilience, your emotional resilience. So resilience can increase by improving your emotional regulation, providing a sense of control, and promoting positive self-talk. Resilience is a key skill in managing your day-to-day stressors and challenges. So self-care, and I'll repeat, only, it's the only way to build your emotional resilience, because you're constantly replenishing yourself over and over and over. Because imagine if something happens to these individuals who works out, who sleeps well, who eats well, who replenishes themselves spiritually. This person has built social capital around them. Yeah, this person is in charge of their emotions. This person has been constantly, trying to build on the intellectual, professional skills. Imagine, and another person who's not been doing any of those, or maybe just even one of those two people are very, very different. They are at very different stages of life. So it is important because it helps to build resilience. Self-care as well helps us in achieving a balance in different areas of life. The next slide. Okay. And this, I'll emphasize again, you are not just one part. You are made up of different facets, and you need to replenish all those facets. So today, we don't even talk about work-life balance. There is no perfect chart that is going to have a perfect percentage, between every single piece of your life. We talk about work-life integration. So you need to integrate self-care as part of your everyday life. Integrate it as part of your everyday life. That way, then you're able to live more meaningful, more purposeful. Okay. And as we finish, it increases your level of self-awareness constantly. And allow me to say this, self-awareness is not just knowing. Yeah. Sometimes I hear people say, me, I'm so self-aware. Najijua, this is how I know. It's not self-awareness if you don't follow it up with an action. Okay, now that you know, what do you do about it? Okay, now that you're self-aware, that you're emotional, what do you do about it? Okay, now that you're self-aware that you're procrastinating or that you're a perfectionist, what are you doing about it? So it's not enough just to know and sit back. No, 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 no. Self-awareness is also action-oriented. What is it that you're doing? Okay, so self-care activities lead to improved self-awareness. An individual is able to notice significant changes in themselves. This is key to seeking support in time of a crisis or a major breakdown. There you go. It's not just knowing that nowadays I'm not well. It's not just knowing that I'm very heartbroken. It's not just knowing that I'm grieving. Yeah, it's not just knowing that I'm too anxious. What are you doing about it? All right. And let's just keep encouraging ourselves. using our inner voice, I need to address this. I need to address this, and go ahead and address it. Okay. Last but not least, protective factor for mental and physical health. It definitely becomes a protective factor when you engage in self care. Self care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. Okay? Giving the world the best of you, not just what is left of you. Okay? And as we finish and open this conversation to the group, I just want to remind all of you that self care is not selfish. The myth around self care is that it's selfish, you know. No, self care is not selfish because you're taking care of yourself. You're worth it. You are important. You also need to take care of yourself. You need to have that self love. Another myth around self care is that it's an all or nothing. So it's either ufanye zote ama usifanye. No, no, no. That's also a myth. Yeah, you're better off if you do one or two of those categories than doing zero. Of course, you will do much better if you're doing 6 over 8. Okay, and much, much even better if you're incorporating 8. And remember, there is no perfection. Just do your best at all time. The other myth around self-care says that self-care is only for people with mental health problems. Yeah, and I keep asking, who are these people with mental health problems? Because we are all human beings. Yeah, and as long as we are all human beings and we have the engine, which is the brain, all right? So afya ya kiakili, mental health, ni afya ya kiakili. We all have mental health. So this is actually very important. So we also need to constantly be able to take care of yourself. So be well aware about those myths. We are going to ensure that we share these slides with all of you here. And in physical conditions, looking at our body, sometimes we know, okay, let me go check on my blood pressure, or let me go and look at my BMI and my weight. Maybe we know all this. And sometimes the question begs, so how will I know, how my mental health is doing? What we have done as Chiromo Hospital Group, we have digitized all globally accredited tools. Today, you can have a self-assessment. You can do the patient health questionnaire at home. Uko peke yako, nobody will see. Yeah, nobody will even know. It's a 3-minute test, and it will be able to tell you this is what your score is, whether it's mild, moderate, severe. They are not brief screeners. Yeah, but if you're in a space and you've been wondering, nowadays I've been worrying too much. I'm getting so anxious, even when my kids are not here, I'm getting so anxious. I'm not sleeping. My thoughts are not quiet. Take the assessment and see, how are you doing? On nowadays, I'm sleeping too much. I'm eating too much. I'm struggling with my thoughts. Take that patient health questionnaire. Take that suicide risk questionnaire. Take that PTSD questionnaire and figure out, where am I at? How am I doing? And if truly you'd like somebody to reach out to you, then you can leave your number. If you don't do that, we will never know that you actually took the test. Okay? So self-care means giving yourself permission. Just pause. Give yourself permission to pause. One of the hardest thing to do is actually to be quiet in your own thoughts. That is one of the hardest thing to do. So give yourself permission to pause. I saw the slide on our list of partners, but just look at the last slide of it completely. We do have a toll-free number, 0800 220 000. If you or anybody that you know is going through a hard time, you're not alone. You're not alone. Reach out to somebody. Just go and talk to somebody. Talk to a professional. Talk to your neighbor. Banter. Yeah. Talk about what's going on. Don't let things brew inside you. And if you don't have people around you, use this toll-free number. and talk to a psychologist on the other side. You might not get a full session on phone, but you will get what we call psychological first aid. Okay, reach out for help. So let me go back to the chat. Thank you guys for being very patient and for listening. Let me go back to the chat to see if there are any questions. Jump to the first. Wow, gosh. Yeah, so thank you, Rosemary. I appreciate. Rosemary Millicent says it's a wonderful session. And then we have Paul Ngugi, who says it's quite important to put restriction on screen time. Yeah. And if you have children, by the way, the recommended screen time in a 24-hour cycle is only 2 hours. Imagine 2 hours. So please just let them go out, but including us as adults, especially because we spend a lot of time on computers doing presentations, noisy Zooms. You actually need some screen detox. Jadida is in this conversation, who is our corporate manager. She can share the slides. Esther as well.
Yeah, Gadoni.
Yeah. Sorry, yes?
Let me help you on the chat. I see that, and I see some direct messages here on the slides. We will be uploading this right away on our YouTube. You can go to our YouTube Conversations with Esther Katiba. You'll find them there. We'll upload this tonight. Thank you, Paul. Quite important to put restrictions, as Gadoni has said. I see another one, emotional resilience, now defined. That's good. I see June, fantastic insights on enhancing mental health via self-care. Emotional resilience is key. Well done, Gadoni. Wow. Florence says, wow. Resilience promoting positive talk. Jetida is here. Yeah, the conversation is recorded. Thank you, Jedida, for that. And she also said you'll find it on our YouTube channel. Awesome. Patrick, thank you for joining as well. Patrick is also from Chiromo, and we've been with Patrick for the men and mental health. So if you're a man in the room and you need to talk to a man, you can always ask us to give you Patrick's number. Awesome presentation, Gadoni and Esther. Self-care is key. Elvis, this is a fantastic talk. Diana, recommend ways in which someone can deal with panic attacks. I think that goes to you, Gadoni. Maybe in a minute, Gadoni, you can respond to that. How do you deal with panic attacks?
All right. Thank you for that. Okay, first of all, on the baseline, the best way to deal with panic attacks is to get a way to calm yourself down. Yeah, the most effective technique to be able to interrupt a panic attack and to calm it down is a deep breathing that is called 478. I'm just taking breaks because I'm typing it. Okay, there it goes. 478 is a deep breathing technique. It's actually the most effective breathing techniques because one, it helps to lower your heart rate, your blood pressure, and two, it acts as a thought stopping technique. So 4 seconds, breathe in through your nose, hold 7 seconds, and then 8 seconds, you breathe out through your mouth. Okay, if you've watched movies, it usually looks like somebody is being told to breathe in a bag. Yeah, but actually the technique itself is this deep breathing technique. So on a deeper level, you need to find out what the triggers are. Where is it coming from? And you also need to identify 2 things. 1, is it physical? Or 2, is it a psychological issue? So as practitioners, we will do the assessment, we will do the history, but for any panic attacks, because they come together with anxiety, we must take you for blood works. We must send you for blood works because we need to see if you have a thyroid dysfunction, because thyroidism usually look like somebody has a panic attack. So if we are sure it's not physical, then we are dealing with a psychological issue. Then now we need to figure out the severity of it. And if it's clinically severe, then you need to be on medication. If not as severe, then coping mechanisms and dealing with the life issues would work perfectly. Okay.
Good. Thank you. And I know we are way over time. It's 8:06. We always want to finish in good time, but allow me, just give me a few more minutes. We go through this. Insightful indeed. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Mukami. Self-care is not selfish. And we say that every time at Conversations with Esther. Self-care is not selfish. Take time and just take care of yourself. Guide on where to get the assessment. Jedida, I hope you've sent that link for the assessment. This one says, Glory says, joined late. Yeah, the recording will be available on our YouTube. Gloria, how do I assess? Okay, the same assessment document that I think Jedida has sent it. Just check that there's a link that has been sent by Jedida there. So just pick that link. This is not only a great topic, but very well delivered. Thank you. Keep talking. People need to hear this message. Thank you, Susan. Very informative. Veronica, thank you. Thank you. There was a mention of how you grew up, impact, or how we grew up impact our adult relationships. Please expound. I think let me just go down to it, Gadoni, so that if you have just to comment on something, I think that's the childhood impact. Very informative. We work on laptops the whole day. Is this healthy? Gadoni, that also goes to you. I think that's it. Gadoni, just answer the two, maybe on the childhood experiences and the working on laptops.
Okay. Thank you, Esther, for that, and everybody who has come out to ask questions. So yes, okay, the short answer is yes. Our childhood experiences, especially adverse childhood experiences, really do affect how we relate with people in adulthood, or how we form and maintain those relationships, whether positively or negatively. But if I can be very, very honest, the conversation about adverse childhood experiences cannot be answered on a Q&A. That's a whole 1 hour, because we have 10 childhood experiences to go through, and then they're divided into 3 categories of it. So the first thing is to be able to identify what childhood experience did you go through, and then because of that, what attachment styles did you form from those childhood experiences, and then now come into how does that manifest at work, how does that manifest in intimate relationships, or even in just general friendships, and then now come into what can you do about it. So, maybe the short answer is just yes, it does affect, but it's a much larger conversation. I would hope that at some point that we can go through it. We work on laptops the whole day. Is this healthy? It's not healthy for so many reasons, because the longer you expose yourself to the light that comes from laptops or from phones or from tablets or any digital tools, it actually really affects how our brain produces serotonin, and this is what helps people to be able to unwind and be able to sleep. So it's usually recommended that you take breaks if you're working on a screen, or include a screen protector. Yeah, for those who have laptops, there's usually like a screening. It's like meshy and black that you can put on top of your screen, but also just leave the desktop. Go take a round, walk around, walk up and down if you're in a building that has stairs. Stretch, look at other things, feel the sun, and go back and sit on your desktop. Because unfortunately, like I said, the world is going tech. The world is going digital. So we are going to actually end up spending more and more time on technology. So if you can find a way to reduce it, for example, for those who like to read, don't use the tablets, go to the physical books if you can, so that you can take that time to disconnect. There's still another one here. If one had an adverse childhood experience, how do one seek help to enable them to thrive in various relationships? Just talk to a mental health provider, a psychologist, a counseling psychologist, any of our people. They would be able to help you deal with that. It's actually so bad because if you have only 4, if your score is 4/10, you're already 3 times more likely to develop anxiety or depression or substance use issues in your future life. So, I mean, it's critical. Over to you, Esther.
Thank you. Thank you, Gathoni, for that. Yeah, thank you very much. I know this is a topic that we cannot exhaust in a very short time, but as I listen to you today, I think you confirmed absolutely what we have lined up for our people. August 5th, allow me to say this, on August 5th, we are launching our Zumba classes. We've discovered it is important, as Gathoni has said, self-care is not selfish. We are launching the Zumba classes that will be at Nairobi Children's Traffic Park, Nyerere Road, just near Serena. There's a children's park there, 5th of August, from 8 a.m. to about 1. We are launching Zumba classes. We will also have Chiromo on board, so you will have your physical exercise and be able to talk to a counselor. We'll send you more details on that. So keep tuned to our YouTube and keep tuned to my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is Esther Katiba. Just that, you'll find me there. I'll post everything that is coming up. Number 2, on August 19th, thank you, Gathoni, again for financial self-care. We have Money Matters. We have a session on Money Matters with David Tanki. And this covers personal budgeting and investment vehicles. Now, personal budgeting, so that you're able to budget your money. Those that listened to Tanki know that he is he's rich in this and a very good trainer and an expert in financial matters. So August 19th, 8 a.m. August 19th is on a Saturday, so that will be 8 a.m. to 11, 3 straight hours. You will learn how to budget. You will know where to put your money. Sorry for that. You'll know where to put your money. You will come out a stronger person. August 5th, we launch the Zumba. You check out for the information. August 19th is the Money Matters. Now, October 7th, kindly mark your calendars. October 7th as well. We will be having a huge event, a huge session at the same spot, Nairobi Children's Traffic Park. Now, the Money Matters one is virtual. Please note that. That one is virtual, but the Zumba is physical. October 7th, we are having an event. We will pitch tents for you. We'll partner with hospitals, and Chiromo will be one of our biggest partners. We are going to have an event on handling loss and grief. Now, it is not just loss of a loved one, loss of your job, of relationships. People are bleeding inside, and we are aware of that. So we will have a session with medical experts, with psychologists. And please note, it's absolutely free. Please come speak to a psychologist, come share your issues, those things you're talking about, childhood experiences. I spoke to somebody the other day and he said he has a black box that he never opens of family issues. Please come and open those black boxes. Come and speak to a psychologist. We will partner with hospitals and different psychologists on October 7th. That is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. All you need to do is come, talk to a psychologist for free, and let us unpack, let us offload, let us help you become a better person and give you the care that you need. That is Conversations with Esther. We care about you, we appreciate you, and we want the best for you. So August 5th, Zumba. August 19th, Financial Matters. October 7th, Handling Loss and Grief. Now, the loss and grief, I say again, bring your family members, people that have lost loved ones, have lost their jobs. There are people that are bitter with life. Just bring them, let them talk to somebody. Where we are as a nation, this is needed. This is needed even because of your work environment. Sometimes people have gone through toxic experiences in the workplace and you need to speak to someone. It is already 8:15. Allow me to thank you. Thank you. Please keep to our social media spaces, YouTube, Conversations with Esther Katiba, LinkedIn, Esther Katiba, so that you get updated. Thank you. God bless you and have a good evening. Thank you. Remember, self-care is not selfish. God bless you and bye-bye.